You carry shame. Even if you hide it behind a perfect image or avoid the word, there's a shadow of shame trailing you everywhere. Not the passing embarrassment of a small mistake, but a quiet, persistent feeling that whispers, "You're not enough," at the back of your mind. It weighs on your heart when you should feel proud and keeps you awake at 3 a.m. revisiting every flaw. It's woven into your thoughts and self-image, wearing many disguises. Whatever shape it takes, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, fear of rejection, or chronic self-criticism, shame finds a way into every corner of your heart. And guess what? You're not alone. Look around and you'll realize everyone carries their own secret shame behind polite smiles and success stories. Feeling ashamed doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're human. You probably didn't choose this burden of shame. As a child, you might have been taught, directly or indirectly, that parts of you were unacceptable. Maybe you were scolded for crying or teased for an innocent mistake. You learned early that to be loved and accepted, you had to hide the parts of you that weren't good enough. Little by little, that lesson sank in. You, as you are, might not be okay, so you started crafting a mask. Perhaps it was the mask of the good child, always agreeable and well-behaved, or the overachiever, bringing home perfect grades to earn praise. Each accomplishment felt like a lifeline to worthiness. For a moment, applause could drown out the voice inside that said, "You're unworthy." So you chased more applause, hoping eventually you'd silence that voice for good. Fast forward to today, and that pattern still rules your life. Maybe you throw yourself into work, determined to climb higher and higher so no one can see your self-doubt. Or you obsess over being a perfect parent or partner, believing if you do everything right, you'll prove you're not flawed. From the outside, it looks like confidence and drive. But inside, each achievement only gives you a brief hit of relief before the old doubt creeps back in, whispering, "Was that enough? Am I enough?" For a time, the mask of perfection may seem to protect you. But no matter how flawlessly you perform or how high you climb, shame finds a crack. The smallest slip and that inner voice hisses, "See? You're a fraud, a failure." Even after successes that should prove your worth, you lie awake feeling like an imposter who will be exposed. Each achievement brings only a brief relief before the cycle starts again. You do more, achieve more, yet still feel not enough. Living with hidden shame is exhausting. It's like carrying a secret weight that nobody else can see. You might wake up tired because all night your mind was replaying yesterday's slip-ups. You smile and say, "I'm fine." But inside there's an ache that won't go away. Some days you feel inexplicably anxious or down, not realizing it's the constant pressure of shame draining your energy and joy. Shame is cunning. It usually won't announce itself plainly. Instead, it masquerades as other emotions and habits. It might show up as irritability when someone points out a mistake, because deep down that critique confirms your worst fears about yourself. Or it appears as procrastination. You put off starting that project or pursuing that dream, since trying and failing would feel like proof of unworthiness. Shame can even wear arrogance as a mask, projecting confidence or superiority to hide how small and unworthy you feel inside. You might not even realize how much of your life shame is quietly steering. The psychologist Carl Jung talked about our shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide and refuse to face. Shame lives in that shadow. The more you shove it away, the darker and heavier it becomes. Jung even called shame a soul-eating emotion. And indeed, it can feel like it's devouring your self-worth from the inside out. Think of shame as a monster in the dark. It feeds on secrecy and silence. Every time you bury your shame deeper, it feasts on your loneliness and fear. It grows stronger when left unseen, silently influencing everything. From the risks you don't take to the love you feel you don't deserve. Alone in the dark, you start to believe those distorted whispers are the truth of who you are. Meanwhile, life goes on. Outwardly, you might be doing all the right things. But inside, you're always a little on guard. You avoid situations that might expose your perceived flaws. Perhaps you shy away from intimacy, because letting someone get truly close means they might discover the parts of you you think are shameful. Or you stick to what's familiar and safe, steering clear of challenges where you might stumble, all to avoid stirring that beast of shame. But that strategy has a cost. A life dictated by shame is a confined life. If you only do what feels safe, you end up with a narrow, controlled existence, tiptoeing within the bounds of what's acceptable and impressive. You might avoid big mistakes, but you also miss out on adventure, growth, and genuine joy. And despite all your carefulness, shame still hovers over you, keeping you from ever feeling truly free or at peace. Eventually, the facade cracks. Maybe it's an error at work that you can't cover up, or a relationship that falls apart despite your best efforts to be perfect. It could even be burnout, when you just can't maintain the charade any longer. At some point, the stress on your mask becomes too much. Cracks spiderweb across the glossy surface of your life, and the truth underneath starts to leak out. Perhaps you come home one day after facing harsh criticism or a significant failure, and something in you just breaks. You find yourself on the floor, back against the wall, as tears you've held back for years finally escape. It's not just about today's incident. It's as if every hurt, every insecurity you've buried demands to be felt. In that moment, you feel small and exposed, like that child who thought they had to be perfect to be loved. This is the breaking point. You feel like you're drowning in all the emotions you've held at bay. Sorrow, anger at yourself, fear of what others will think if they really know you. It's overwhelming, and you think, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep this up. As scary as it is, there's also a strange relief in finally letting the truth pour out. The mask is shattered. You are simply you, hurt, human, and exhausted from pretending. As painful as this moment is, it carries a hidden mercy. In the ruins of pretense, you have a chance to rebuild on truth. When everything falls apart, you're left with the raw, honest pieces of yourself. And among those pieces, you can finally see your shame clearly for what it is. Not an all-powerful curse, but a long-neglected emotion that's been crying out for attention. At rock bottom, you have nothing left to lose by facing it. Maybe for the first time ever, you allow yourself to be truly vulnerable with someone else. You reach out, voice trembling, and tell a close friend or family member, I'm not okay. I need help. Or perhaps someone you trust notices your pain and gently asks what's wrong. In that moment, you stand at a crossroads. You could retreat behind a familiar lie, or you could step into the unknown and tell the truth about what you're going through. You take a shaky breath and choose honesty. Through tears and halting words, you admit how unworthy and lost you've been feeling. You expect your loved one to recoil or to try to talk you out of these feelings. But instead, they listen. They hear the pain in your voice. Maybe they even say, I felt that way too, or "You know I'm here for you, right?" In their eyes, you don't see disgust. You see concern and love. That response feels like rain on a desert. Where you expected judgment, you find compassion, and something inside you shifts. By speaking your shame out loud, you've shone a light on that shadow. In the presence of understanding, shame cannot hold its form. It starts to melt. You sense it in real time, a warmth in your chest where there was a cold weight before. The monster isn't gone, but it's smaller, weakened by exposure to empathy. This is the beginning of healing. Through this act of vulnerability, you learn a powerful truth. Sharing your pain with someone trustworthy doesn't push them away. It can actually bring them closer. Each time you reveal a bit of your hidden self and find acceptance rather than rejection, you reclaim a piece of your dignity. You start to realize that you deserve that acceptance, that you always did. You also begin to see that the people who truly care about you love you not for your shiny image, but for who you really are. Think about it. Haven't you admired someone more after learning about their struggles? It's their humanity that touches you, not their perfection. Likewise, those who love you feel honored when you trust them with your truth. It lets them show up for you, deepening the bond between you. Consider the Ubuntu philosophy. In some African communities, when someone falters, the people don't cast them out. They bring them into the center of the village and remind them of all the good they have done, surrounding them with love and encouragement. They call this practice Ubuntu. I am because we are. Unity and affirmation, they believe, heal better than shame and punishment ever could. Imagine if you could create that Ubuntu circle for yourself. At your lowest moment, instead of harsh self-criticism, you hear voices of encouragement. Perhaps friends remind you of your strengths, or your own kinder voice recalls times you overcame challenges. How different that would feel from the lonely echo of self-condemnation. You can invite those voices into your life, both from others and from within. And you can learn to be one of those voices for yourself too. Learning to treat yourself with kindness may be challenging, but it's crucial. Buddhism offers guidance. It emphasizes compassion for all beings, including yourself. For example, in loving kindness meditation, you send goodwill to others and then to yourself. May I be happy. May I be safe. May I be free of suffering. At first, giving that warmth to yourself feels awkward or undeserved. But that's exactly when you need it most. Think of how you'd treat a dear friend drowning in shame. You wouldn't kick them while they're down or agree that they're worthless. You'd hold them, tell them that it's okay, that everyone messes up, that they are loved. Buddhism teaches us to extend that same mercy to our own hearts. It's not about excusing mistakes. It's about recognizing that beating yourself up doesn't make you better. Only understanding and kindness can break the cycle of shame. So you begin to replace judgment with mercy, little by little. The next time you mess up and that wave of shame hits, you pause. You notice the sting, the flushed cheeks, the sinking stomach. But this time, you speak to yourself gently, maybe even out loud. I'm human. I make mistakes. This doesn't make me worthless. I can learn from this, and I still deserve love and respect. The words feel strange at first, but you keep at it. Each time you respond to your own pain with compassion, you strengthen a new habit of healing instead of hurt. It takes practice. Some days you'll still get swept up in shame and forget to be kind to yourself. That's okay. When you catch yourself, gently try again. Over time, the compassionate voice grows stronger, and the critical voice grows weaker. Along the way, you start to notice something profound. The shame that once felt so overpowering now feels more manageable. It arises, but you greet it as an old acquaintance rather than a fearsome enemy. "I see you," you say to your shame. "Come along if you must." You acknowledge it, and it loses its power to shock or control you. It's no longer a hidden horror. It's just a feeling, one of many. And like all feelings, it will pass. You realize now that you are not defined by shame or by any single mistake or flaw. In fact, your decision to face your shame has become a quiet source of pride, the healthy kind. You've gained a serenity in knowing you will be okay, even if you're not perfect. This new understanding gives you the courage to step outside your comfort zone. You start doing things you once avoided for fear of looking foolish. Maybe you finally sign up for that dance class, or have that hard conversation, or pursue a dream you shelved. Without the constant dread of what failure would say about your worth, you're free to fully live and explore. The mask you wore for so long begins to feel unnecessary. You find yourself less interested in filtering and polishing every aspect of yourself for others' approval. You can laugh at your quirks instead of hiding them. You can acknowledge your weaknesses without believing they make you worthless. Paradoxically, being less fixated on appearing strong and capable makes you feel stronger and more capable than ever. There's a new ease in your life. Conversations that once terrified you, admitting you need help, saying "I don't know," or telling someone how you truly feel, now seem possible. You find that when you're authentic, others often respond in kind, and your relationships become richer. You spend less time worrying about what everyone thinks of you and more time actually connecting, because your mind isn't constantly monitoring your every flaw. Think back to that distorted mirror of shame. For years, it showed you a skewed reflection. Every flaw magnified, every good quality diminished. Now you've adjusted the mirror. You see yourself more clearly. Yes, you have imperfections. Some you can work on, others that are just part of you. But you also see your kindness, your resilience, your creativity, all the things shame used to eclipse. You can finally acknowledge those qualities in yourself without feeling guilty or arrogant. Carl Jung believed that integrating our shadow, owning those parts of us we once rejected, is key to becoming whole. By facing and owning your shame, you've done just that. You've taken a piece of your soul that was starving in the dark and brought it into the light to heal. It no longer eats away at you from a hidden place. Now it's out in the open, where you can tend to it, learn from it, and let it transform. In doing so, you've likely developed greater empathy for others. You know what it's like to hide and hurt. Having embraced your own humanity, you're more gentle with others. When you see someone acting out of insecurity or anger, you understand they might be battling their own shame. Your journey has made you more understanding and more connected to others. That's the spirit of Ubuntu and the essence of compassion in action. Shame might still pop up from time to time, a small shadow on a sunny day. But you no longer fear that shadow. You've befriended it. When old regrets or new comparisons stir up that familiar pang, you know how to handle it. Sometimes you just sit with it, breathing until it passes. Other times you talk it through with a friend or write in a journal, shining light on it again. Either way, it doesn't rule you anymore. So here you stand now, on the other side of that long internal war. Not a polished, perfect being, but a real and resilient one. The ground beneath you feels solid because it's the ground of truth. You have cracks and scars, But instead of hiding them, you've made them part of your strength and your story. They are proof of what you've overcome, and they add to your unique beauty in a way a flawless facade never could. Imagine yourself stepping back onto the stage of life, but this time without the heavy costume. The lights come up, and you stand there as you are. No script, no pretense. Your heart may still pound. Vulnerability takes courage. But you stand firm. You speak or act from your heart, and even if your voice trembles, it's true. The audience, the world, can finally see the real you. And you realize that this, the real you, is enough. No more hiding. The mask is off. You may wear different roles in life, at work, with friends. But none of them are disguises now. They're all authentically you, just in different contexts. There is power in that honesty. You no longer waste energy maintaining illusions. All that energy is now yours to live, create, and love. Some people in your life may not understand the change at first. They were used to the you who never showed weakness. That's okay. The ones who truly matter will embrace the fuller, authentic you. And you might even inspire them to drop a bit of their own mask. As for anyone who judges you for being real, their opinions hold less weight now. You understand that their judgment often comes from their own fears and shadows, not from any flaw in you. This is freedom. Not that you'll never feel pain or failure, but that you know you will not abandon yourself when it happens. You've got your own back now. If you stumble, you offer yourself a hand up. If you succeed, you savor it without tying your worth to it. Life still has its ups and downs, but you meet them as a whole person. When pain or failure comes, you feel it fully, but you don't let it turn into shame about who you are. You learn what you can and move on, without the extra weight of, I'm not good enough. Think of the courage it took to get here. To turn and face the feelings you once fled. To tear off the mask and risk being seen. To tell someone your darkest fears about yourself. That is true courage, far more than the false bravery of suffering in silence. You faced the inner dragon and found it wasn't invincible. In fact, by facing it, you discovered your own strength. You carry that courage with you now. If you ever find yourself back in shame's shadows, remember that you've faced this dragon before. You can face it again and find your way back to the light. Now you walk forward lighter, with the sun on your face and the past shadows behind you. You know yourself more deeply now, not an idealized image, but your real self. And you accept that person. In that acceptance, there is peace. You can breathe freely, feeling alive, present, and whole, beneath the mask of shame. You have found something precious, your true self, worthy and capable of love. It was there all along, waiting for you to see it. By stripping away the false armor and tending to the hurt underneath, you've reclaimed your life. You stand in your own power now, light in spirit, gentle in heart, and unshakable in your truth. And you can finally say, with quiet conviction, this is me, and I am enough.